Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. If you're watching in Kenya, good morning or good afternoon, wherever it is you're watching us from. So first of all, I want to start by apologizing. We're about 5-6 minutes late. We had a technical hitch, but we are raring to go, and I'm so excited for this conversation. Today, we are talking about what to do with your money in 2022. And one of the things that we're going to talk about today is, first of all, how can I protect my assets? Number two, we're going to look at how to decide what investment opportunity to go for. And then what does it mean to invest with purpose? I have a fantastic guest with me, and I'm so excited to introduce them to you. His name is Pius Muchiri. Pius Muchiri is the chief executive of Nabo Capital. We'll tell you a little bit about what Nabo Capital does. But Pius has been in the industry for many years, over 15 years. And he's passionate, very, very passionate about helping people and institutions create wealth. So we are in fantastic company. Welcome to the show, Pius.
Thank you very much.
So
Rina.
Awesome to have you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome to be here.
So before we get into the topic of today, I want you to just tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. I always find that to be a very good question to start with. Who am I? And I like to think of myself in 3 words: God, work, and family. And why do I start with God? Almost 20 years ago, I gave myself a project to define my success, to write my own script. And I came up with the pillars of my success. What are my pillars? Which we can't go into that now. But at the end of that exercise, I had one challenge, which is the one pillar that doesn't change. And of all the pillars, only one pillar seemed predictable into the future. God is the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And I made a vow to myself that regardless of how much God blesses me, my relationship with Him will never change. And therefore, that gave me the lens to look life with. So how do I invest? What are the values that I use? Then they have to be godly values. You don't just gain wealth at any expense. So that's why it is important for me to mention that how we execute our strategy is through certain values. Number 2 is work. Work to me is my mission field. Work to me is the platform that I use to execute my calling. I am very fortunate that I believe I know what my calling is. I know why God created me, and I believe I was created to help people, families, institutions to create wealth for multiple generations. And we'll go into it later. So that's very demanding, and I love it, and I would do it for free. I'm just lucky that I get paid for it. The third one is my family. And my family is really the safe haven. It's a peaceful abode that I go to every day after being on the mission field. And I'm very lucky that I'm blessed with a very wonderful one wife who is a fruitful vine, has given us 4 children.
Wow.
So we are above.
And it's a quiet abode.
Yes, it's a peaceful abode. It doesn't have to be quiet. I have 3 boys and 1 very beautiful girl that we all adore. Yeah, it's a place that I look forward to going to every day in the evening, and I forget the stresses of the day, and it gives me the kick to start tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. So let's jump right into it.
Yeah.
I'm so honored to have you here. And I'm like, your passion is to make people wealthy. By the way, I'm not letting go of you. Anyway, I heard you once say, and I think it was a fact that you were quoting, that 1% of the richest people in the world own approximately a half of the wealth in the world.
Yes.
And you said that if miraculously God decided today to spread all that wealth, say, okay, 1% richest, no, let me make this fair. I'll give it to everybody.
Yeah. Spread the money equally.
Equally.
Yeah.
if he did that in a few years,
Yes.
you said it would revert back
It would
to
reset
where
back
it
to
is.
the 1%.
Please help me understand that slowly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's good that you've brought it up, because yesterday I was listening to BBC and they brought out even more updated facts. And they said between March 2020, when pandemic started, and November 2021, the 10 richest men in the world, their combined fortunes have more than doubled.
Have more than doubled?
Yes. So there was a dip after the COVID.
Yes.
But since that point in time, their global wealth have moved from $700 billion to $1.5 trillion.
That's insane. Like that's even
during pandemic. That's the 1%. That's the 1%. So if we're talking about the share of global wealth, that has probably changed. But they even went ahead to say, if you went slightly backwards to pre-COVID, February, their wealth has at least increased by 70%. If you take out the dip because of COVID. And to me, this is a number that I track very closely, because I always ask myself, what is their secret sauce? They don't have two heads. We have one head each. God was very fair on that matter. But also, another fact that came out on the 99%, the balance of us, is that there is an additional 160 million people that have plunged into poverty.
Within that same time?
Within that same time. So the 1% continue to prosper, and the 99% continue to get worse because of lockdowns and everything else.
Yeah.
So what is the secret sauce?
That's what I was going to ask. What is it? Like,
what is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it comes down to simple three fundamentals.
Okay.
Number one, the richest 1%, they have a principle of paying themselves first before everybody else. These guys can change where they stay, where they're domiciled, just to minimize taxes. I have foreign clients, and I know some of them who've moved to very different locations from where they were born,
to pay zero
just
tax.
to make sure that they are as close to as possible to zero taxes.
Yeah.
Why? Because they make sure that out of $100 that they create, they are the first ones to get paid.
So this is interesting, and I just want us to just dwell there for a bit. You can imagine this is somebody who's already wealthy.
Yes.
They're not struggling.
Yeah.
Why would they go into such an inconvenience?
Yes.
You understand what I'm asking?
Yes.
To be able to save on 30% tax,
Yes.
and yet they are creating revenue that is huge. So just help me understand that mindset, first of all. Because sometimes you're like, only 30%. You know?
It's a good question you ask, but it comes down to understanding the value of money and appreciating the value of money. A lot of us have been working, but we really do not appreciate the value of money. So we are very quick to spend. Money comes, and we are essentially conduits of money. But them, this is how they operate.
Okay.
Allow me to finish the three, because they are connected. So they pay themselves. Whatever they pay themselves, they put in investment. So the second principle, you must invest.
So you pay yourself first.
Pay yourself first.
And then invest.
And then invest. The third thing, and this is the most important, they live on passive income and not on active income. Meaning they live on wealth created out of their investments, not from their businesses or their jobs.
So your business, even if you don't work in it, isn't that passive income?
The portfolio is a totally different thing. Think about Warren Buffett. He owns probably hundreds of companies. So it's not the companies that are important to him. It is the cash flow that is generated by this.
I get it.
And where does it end up? In his portfolio. And that portfolio is that's his core business.
Let's just go through those three again, please.
Yes.
So the first one is pay yourself first.
You must pay yourself first.
So paying yourself first, just for the benefit of the audience, is what?
So now, let me compare the 1% and the 99% so that then it can make sense. The 1%, they definitely pay themselves first. The rest of us, we start by paying the landlord, we pay groceries, we pay everybody else, and we come last, if at all there's anything that remains. So it's inverted. It's inverted. And that doesn't matter whether you are paid 1 million shillings a month or 10,000 shillings a month. It is a question of lifestyle, behaviors. That's how no one taught us that when you get paid, you pay yourself first.
Okay.
So this is the thing. You are you're the number one supplier to yourself, and therefore you deserve to be on the number one list of suppliers that you pay.
I like that. I like that.
So these people, they recognize themselves. I put in the hard work, so I've got to be paid first. I've got to be paid first. There are lots of guys out there who are running businesses, but if you look at the accounts, it's not even clear what they get paid. They pay everybody, they pay staff, they pay everybody, but there is nothing that is allocated to them.
A lot of people don't pay themselves.
They don't pay themselves.
They spend the money for the business on
Correct.
the activities. Okay, so pay yourself first.
Pay yourself first.
Number two, invest.
You must invest. Now, the 99% save, the 1% invest. Saving is money that you put in the bank. Investing is not money in the bank. It's money that is really working for you.
You know, there's something else I've heard you say, just on that one, money working for you.
Yes.
You need to expect something from your money. Is that you who said that?
Yes, you must.
Explain what that is. So you've gotten money and you're saying you must expect something from your money.
Yes. When you pay yourself first, that shilling that you've paid yourself first, that you must demand something from it, because that's not what you eat. You will eat the fruit of it. So you must demand that it is fruitful.
Yeah.
Now, once it is fruitful, then you live on passive income and not on active income. You live on the money that comes to your bank account, whether you wake up and go to work or not. It is still going to get into your bank account. If you invest in a treasury bill, you will not need to knock on anybody's door. That day, when it falls due, money will be in your bank account. That is passive income. One of my clients told me something very interesting. He told me, Pius, passive income is the sweetest income of them all. Even if it is 10 shillings, it is the sweetest income of them. You can be earning 1 million in your job, but it's not as sweet as that 10 bob that comes even when you're sleeping. To 2013, a survey was done, and they estimated that Warren Buffett was making $1.5 million every hour.
Oh my gosh.
Even when he was sleeping.
Every hour.
Every hour, even when he was
Passively.
sleeping. The tech billionaires were making $1.3 million every hour, even when they were sleeping. The key words are even when you're sleeping. How much money are you making even when you're sleeping?
So, I hear you.
Yes.
But it sounds like it's, oh God, I'm earning 100,000 shillings.
Yes.
How can I transition? We're still talking about investments.
Sure.
How can I transition? What can I actually practically do? The end of the month is coming. I will earn a salary. I want to pay myself first. But you've said savers are not, they don't get there. So we want to become investors.
Yeah.
What do I do with this money that I get?
Yeah.
Just examples so that somebody knows what to start
to
do.
It's good. I think the best thing is to give an example.
Yeah.
Some of these things that I say here, all of them, I actually do them. I remember about 10 years ago, one of my friends approached me and told me, Pius, I want to talk to you about finances. And I was like, I'm a CFA charter holder. I work in an investment company. And here is this guy who wants to teach me about finances.
Oh, he wanted to teach you?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, okay. I took the challenge. And then he added one more thing. He said, I want to meet you and your wife. I said, okay, it's getting serious. So he came home.
Okay.
We gave him a cup of tea and we sat down. And he helped us at the end of that process. Me and my wife asked ourselves one question. What is the one thing that can really go wrong in our family? And the answer was right there in front of us. We were both depending on a salary. My wife was on a salary, I was on a salary. If something happened, like COVID did happen, and we both lost our jobs, we could easily be on the streets struggling. Not because we were earning nothing, just because we never followed the fundamental principles of what I'm talking about here. So my wife and I sat down and we made some radical decisions.
Okay.
One radical decision we made was to assume we do not have one salary, and the bigger one.
Oh, wow. For real?
For real.
I've just had a chill go through my body. Wow.
So we said we are going to, from this day onwards, we're going to live on one salary. Like we have lost another salary and the bigger one, because that risk was real. And we started that salary that we put aside, and it really called for a lot of changes in our lives. We started putting it now in investment. Just putting it in investment, month by month, religiously. And that's also part of what began me as a client to Nabo Capital, or us as a family as a client to Nabo Capital. We had 2 kids then. My wife got pregnant a couple of years later with our third born, and she came and told me, you know what, I think the best thing I could do for this family is to raise this family. I want to focus on the family. And that was the easiest decision for us, because we were already used to living on one salary. So in fact, what we did was to say, whatever she was getting, now we will pay her. That pool will just, she's not going to lose anything, but we now had something that we can work with. And I'm not saying that everybody should do exactly that. All I'm saying is, it's a fundamental principle that you must pay yourself. Even if you're paid 10,000 bob, 5,000 bob, as long as you're earning anything, even 1 shilling, just start with 1 shilling. I give you a challenge. Next month it will be 2 shillings. Month 12, you'll find you can now do 1,000 shillings, because you suddenly realize this is my core business, and what I do out there is my side hustle.
So what is your core business?
My core business is the investment portfolio that I put together for my family. That is the only thing that can be inherited down generations. No one will come and inherit my job. My son is not guaranteed to ever come and inherit my job. But what I do, what I get out of it, and I put in our family portfolio, can affect many generations to come.
Right.
That is my core business.
That's some radical thinking, that your main job is your side hustle.
Yeah.
And your investments is your core,
is my core job.
Is your core job.
Correct. And now this was the interesting bit. We suddenly realized, wait a minute, why would I run my core business like a side job? Anything that is core business must be run professionally. Yeah. So that's the day I resigned being the portfolio manager of our family portfolio, and we became proper clients of Nabo.
So you became clients of Nabo Capital?
We became clients of Nabo Capital.
And you have an advisor who tells you where we're going to put money?
Exactly.
Wow.
Just like anybody else. And that's the best decision we've ever made.
Yeah.
We have this thing called do-it-yourself disease. We believe we can run our businesses, we can do our 8-hour job and still be able to run our portfolios. It's impossible. And that's why most people's portfolios are crashing, or people are investing in Ponzi schemes. You don't have enough time to contemplate the opportunities.
Okay, we're going to stay here for a while if we don't move, and we have so much to talk about.
Yes.
The third one, okay, so we've paid ourselves first.
Yes.
We're investing. The third one?
They live on passive income,
Yeah.
not active income.
So in your investments, you're actively seeking, how can I make passive income streams?
Absolutely.
Can we discuss some ideas, please?
Yes. I challenge everybody who is listening to us. This is January 2020.
Right.
2022. So there's no better time for us to set some goals like now. Look at all the incomes that you get as a family. Ask yourself, which one will come into my bank account even if I don't show up at work? That is your passive income. Everything else is active income. And by the way, if you run a kiosk and you cannot take a 6-week holiday, that is active income.
Yeah.
So most businesses, according to my analysis, they actually fall under active income. So to build passive income, so write that number, that is your beginning point.
So the number that I want to receive?
No. The number that you have right now, even if it is 0.
Okay, number of, in terms of amount.
How much money would come into a bank account even if you don't show up at work?
I understand.
That's your passive income. Start measuring your passive income, not your active income. Then start giving yourself a goal. Say, now my goal is to make sure that my passive income can actually take care of my rent.
Yeah.
Even if I lost my job, I can take care of my rent.
I like that. And you know what I like about that?
Yes.
Is that it's not everything that I earn.
No.
It's a specific goal.
Yes.
Just to cover my rent.
Just cover my rent. Next, cover my food. Next, cover my school fees. Next, cover the things that define your lifestyle. Once you do that, I'm telling you, you will be financially free. That's what we call financial freedom.
Yeah.
So, I like what Warren Buffett says. He says, I do what I like to do every single day of the year. For me, that is what everybody should be looking forward to do. Don't go to work so that you can pay bills. Go to work because you're on a mission, because you love doing what you're doing, not to pay bills. You become a better person to your customers, a better person to your colleagues, because perspective is better. So passive income, the reason why we go to work, honestly, is to build our passive income.
Is to build a passive income. So I don't know whether people actually think about it that way.
But it hits them
later. It
later.
Usually comes after 40.
Yeah.
When you realize, I need to actually build passive income streams. But it's not something when you start working, you're thinking about, you're like, yeah, I have a salary. I can do all these amazing things with the money that I have that I've been wanting to do.
Exactly. So that's what passive income is all about. And I know it is very tough for many people to switch from active income to passive income because they've already formed lifestyles around active income. So a person earns 100,000 bob, they can barely save even 5,000 bob. So once you start the journey, you start getting ideas. That's why I said, I'm challenging everybody. Start even with 1 bob. Pay yourself 1 bob. Next month, it will go to 2 bob. I assure you, by the time you're done with this year, you'll have the full revelation. This is my core job. If I get this right, we are out there. We're out of the woods with my entire family. But if you don't do that, and this is what scares me the most, Rina, I look at my friends, I look at my colleagues, I look at people around me, young, vibrant. Their kids are going to good schools. They live in a nice neighborhood.
Yeah.
They drive 2 cars, husband and wife. I project 20 years from now, and I see many of them cannot be able to sustain that. Sadly, many of them will not be able to sustain that because their earning power will have gone down. And if they don't put these things in place now, it's an accident that is very likely to happen. Yeah.
Give me just three ideas of passive income streams that people can begin to explore.
Yeah. And there are many.
Yeah.
There are many. Rent is actually a passive income.
Yes.
Rent is a passive income. Investing is the biggest source of passive income. There are two big sources of passive income. Either you own a big business or you're investing. Majority of us cannot own a big business. If you look at the richest 1%, they fall in that category. They own Amazon, they own Tesla. Facebook, they own Tesla, they own the big things.
Yeah.
And those businesses actually don't require them to be there. So if you look at, I was reading about Jeff Bezos, how he spent most of his time during pandemic exploring space. So his presence is not required. He's just a guiding light.
Yeah.
So even if he doesn't show up, money will get into there. If you own Safaricom, you don't need to show up. Yeah. So how do you get to be on the same platform? Then become an investor. If you invest in Safaricom, you're co-investing with Vodafone, I don't know I can't remember which one it is. But you are literally an investor in a big business. When that business multiplies wealth, you're also part of it.
Yeah.
So, and that's the trick. In fact, one of the statements that came out of that article from Oxfam was the wealth of the top 10 men in the world is tied to their stock holdings.
Okay.
The wealth of the 99%, the rest of us, is tied to our employers.
Which is such a shame. Yeah.
So you can see, if you're not investing, you're not in the game. Your fate is already determined.
That's really helpful.
Yeah.
That's really helpful.
Yeah.
Passive income streams. Wow. So I want to just check if we have any questions so that we're not just having our conversations on our own. Time is just flying so fast. Let's take a look. So, yeah, somebody's asking. So is there a recommended percentage on how much you should pay yourself?
It's a good question. It's a dynamic number.
It's a dynamic number.
It's a dynamic number. When you're starting, I would say even start with 0.01%. Just make sure you pay yourself. Make sure you pay yourself. As the game gets hotter, because it's like a game, your wealth will start increasing and you find yourself, you're increasing that number. For me, I always say if you pay the government 30%, you need to at least pay yourself a minimum of what you pay to the government.
30%?
Minimum. That's my target, my benchmark. You should never pay anybody else more than you pay yourself.
Wow.
Anyone under the sun.
Yeah.
You are your number one supplier.
You know, that's a complete mind shift. So minimum, ideally, 30%.
Ideally. 30%.
But what I hear you saying is that you want to start wherever you can today. And over time, momentum will come and you grow.
No excuses. No excuses.
No excuses.
No excuses.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me give you a very interesting observation I've made with our Nabo clients. And we'll talk about investing with purpose. A lot of our clients that are on investing with purpose, actually not a lot, all of them. We have, after 3-4 years, I have observed that they exceed their targets.
For investing?
For investing.
Wow.
Because investing with purpose requires you have to pay yourself. Almost all of them have ended up paying themselves more than what they initially thought they would be able to pay themselves. All of them.
That's fantastic. It's even more amazing that you track that.
Yes.
Before we go into investing with purpose, there's something I want to ask you. You know, I like to carry out polls every time I'm doing a training. And I found that on average, the guys that we speak to, 30% of them say that they don't earn enough to save or invest.
Yeah.
So for somebody who's there listening and they're nodding their heads, they're like, I'm with you, Pius, I agree. But my situation is that I don't even earn enough to be able to save. What would you say to somebody like that?
It's I hope that this conversation we're having today will change their mindset. The richest 1%, even if they have borrowed to their neck, they will not pay the debt first before they pay themselves.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Look at, I wish we could get the statistics of bad debts. You'll realize it is not the common guy
But these are like normal loans. We're not talking about mobile money, credit cards. We're not talking about those kind of loans.
Just talking about normal loans.
Like mortgage type loans. Commercial loans.
Just look at the commercial loans. The people who default are they're not people who are struggling. But they enter into structures that ring-fence the exposure of their ability. So if there's fire here, it does not touch the other side. You get, huh?
Wow.
Why? Because they make sure that the supplier number one, who is themselves, is always secure. The rest of us, we'd rather pay and I'm not saying people should not pay loans. I'm just giving an example. It's a mindset.
Yes, no, I get it.
It's just a mindset.
I'm understanding the mindset.
It's just a mindset.
You pay yourself first,
exactly.
Even if you have a loan.
Yeah. I'm giving you my own example now. There are times, especially like when you need to pay school fees and all these things, you get, and we're doing that budget with my wife. And you're seeing this budget, if we go with the way things are, there will be nothing going to Nabo Capital this month.
Okay.
And we make a decision. Speak to the school, we'll pay in 2 installments. We pay in 3 installments. But make sure there is money going to Nabo Capital.
Wow.
You understand?
Yeah.
Because you want to stick to that fundamental principle. Sometimes I have to delay maybe paying my landlord, because if I pay the landlord now, I will not be able to put something in my account. There's a pecking order. You are the supplier number one to yourself. If you don't work, nobody else in that list will be able to earn anything. So why not pay yourself first? And funny enough, you will always, if you pay yourself, you can pay everybody else. We don't default anything. So it's a principle, and I'm saying, even if it is a shilling, just put down that shilling and say, I have paid myself this month. That shilling will become something over time. And that's a challenge. So for me, I would say, don't put yourself in a situation where you believe that you cannot pay yourself. That's one. Let me say something else here, just to give, and maybe it's to give an analogy. If you're overtaking on a highway, Nairobi Nakuru Road, you have only one lane, so you've got to time and get back in.
Right.
If you're overtaking and you come out and you thought it is one truck and you suddenly discover there were 3 trucks in front of you and you can't get back in. Yeah? But you can see right ahead another truck is coming. It's even flashing lights on you. You have a decision to make.
Yeah.
Either you keep flying ahead and hope that you will get to a place and squeeze yourself in before the other truck closes in that gap.
Yeah.
Or you go to the shoulder of the road. Which one will you take? It is flashing, it is coming on, it is not stopping.
So depending on how far it is, I'll accelerate.
If you accelerate and you don't make it, it's game done.
Yeah.
Game shot.
But if I go to the shoulder?
But if you go to the shoulder, you only risk to tip your car. If you either steady your car,
yeah,
or you tip and roll,
yeah,
but one gives you a higher chance of success. It has happened to me. I took the shoulder and I saved my entire family. If you are not able to pay yourself, this is the situation. Life is coming at you. Retirement is coming at you. It is flashing at you. You either keep hoping that one day you'll get a lot of money and you start paying yourself,
yes,
or you go to the shoulder of the road and make some tough decisions and say, you know what, I'm moving from a 15,000 house to a 7,500 house. I'm moving my kids from a group of schools to a free education.
yeah,
You get, eh?
yeah,
You've got to make tough decisions.
yeah.
If my wife and I did not make that tough decision, then I don't know what would have happened to us.
Hey, okay. We have to make tough decisions.
Make tough decisions.
Yeah.
To save your family.
Now, I've seen a question from somebody about the investment options, but I just want to address the season that we're in. We're in a season of crisis. The pandemic is still with us. We are in an election year. There's a lot going on. And a lot of people might feel tempted to be like, yeah, I hear you, Pius, but it's a season of crisis. I want to put my money in a safe place, like a fixed deposit account, because I know it's safe. And not invest in opportunities, such as the ones you were talking about, like stocks, right? Yeah, how would you
advise?
Yeah, advise, and what are some of the things that they can consider so that they take advantage of time and the opportunity?
A lot of the stuff we're discussing here is about mindset. I was speaking to one of the guys I would call reasonably wealthy Kenyans.
Okay.
And he admitted to me, he said to me, Pius, I actually look forward to crisis. When there are no crises, you can't make money. You can't make real outsized returns. When there are uncertainties, pockets of opportunity emerge. The top 10 richest men have more than doubled their wealth during COVID, while the 99% have become poorer. Why? Because some were gripped with fear and paralyzed. Put their money in mattresses, withdrew money, they were not in investment. Safaricom moved from 23 shillings to 44 shillings.
It did.
KCB moved from what? 32, 33 to 50 shillings. Equity Bank moved from what? 32, 33 to 50 something shillings.
It's true.
During pandemic, during crisis. Opportunities, and I mean the best opportunities, they are few and far between. And they don't come wrapped in convenience.
No.
They come clothed in chaos and uncertainties, like COVID, like election. So when we talk about election, actually, I am really looking forward. And I call this to be the year of looking for cheap bargains. Look for the bargains. Have that mindset. I'm looking for the bargains. What could happen? What could go wrong? Number one, interest rates could go up.
It's very likely.
Interest rates could go up, isn't it? Now, if interest rates go up, what should we do? I remember the last time, I don't know whether it's 2017, treasury bills went 23%.
Yes.
And people were fearful. But a few people who were bold, they locked in 23%. And they were able, that was there for only a very short window.
It was very short. Although there was even a 2-year bond that was about 23 or so percent, which was awesome.
Exactly. So, amazing. During COVID, the Eurobond, across the all the Eurobonds across the continent, the yields went really high. And in within 6 months, people were making in dollars 33%.
33%.
On dollar. So this is what I tell everybody who is listening to me. This is the year for bargains. If you see a crisis, guess what? The richest 1%, they're thinking this is the year we're going to be buying from those guys who are fearful. So people will be selling their bonds at any price, at high yields, so they will lock in there. If you see interest rates going up, lock in the high interest rates. Get into a good yield paper, lock it in. If you see equities, Safaricom going to 23 shillings, whatever, when you see bargains, buy cheap and wait. Elections are going to come and go. Yeah. And unless this country is going into tatters, which I don't believe, we're going to go beyond these elections. And they will reset back, regardless of who is the president. We'll reset back. Look out for equities, cheap bargains, buy. Real estate. Watch out for cheap assets, especially in distressed situations. For me, wearing my billionaire mindset, this is what I'm looking out for in 2022. And this year is very unique because we still are navigating through the pandemic and we also have the election. I can assure you one thing. Savvy investors are waiting for any of these opportunities to arise. And I'm putting it out here openly so that even the common Mwananchi is not left behind. It should not just be for the few elite guys.
Hey, wow. I feel like I just need to stop here and go home and think and reflect. Let me just see if there's any more questions. I have another question for you, but I don't want to ignore what everybody else is asking. Okay, so Damaris is asking, where does Nabo invest? And perhaps we can just touch on Nabo Capital, what you do, where you invest, and how you help people manage their finances. Roger says, point taken. But let's hear about Nabo.
Yeah. So maybe it's good to give a story, a little bit of history about myself. I joined the Centum Group in 2014. So I just did 17 years.
Fantastic.
During that 17 years, I spent a good chunk of it until 2013 within Centum. And I was running a fund called Quoted Private Equity. And Quoted Private Equity was a fund that was investing in listed securities, bonds, equities, anything that is public we were buying. But there was one thing that was unique about it compared to everything else. We were investing across the continent. Yeah. And we embarked on this strategy after the post-election violence, when we realized that only 1% of our portfolio was outside of Kenya. And we had this sudden realization that even Kenya could go up in smoke. And we thought, hey, we need to diversify because there are 39,000 shareholders that we are looking after at that point in time. So we embraced an African strategy, and we discovered that opportunities are quite similar. The landscape, the countries are different, the cultures are different, but opportunities are very, very, very similar. Okay. We made a lot of money. And because of that, we started getting a lot of guys knocking on our doors and saying, guys, can we give you our money so that you do what you do with our money, what you're doing for your portfolios?
Yeah.
And within Centum, which is a listed company, we couldn't do that because the only way Centum can accept money is through a rights issue.
Right.
So we scratched our heads and we came up with the idea that we needed to have a fund management company. And we got a fund management license and opened shop in 2013. And I spent a good amount of time before that really asking myself why this country needed one more fund manager. And my conclusion was, after observing, since we've all been in this career, I think we've had between 55 and 60 listed stocks in Kenya. We've had about 130 government securities every other year. But if you look at the money that is chasing these opportunities, it is only increasing and at a very, very fast pace.
Sure.
I remember when I did my first proposal to the board, the pension industry was at 243 billion shillings. Today is at 1.1 trillion shillings. And is still investing in these 60 securities. In fact, it has probably narrowed down because the blue chip companies have decreased. And we set out, we identified our niche, or the new thing we're bringing to the market is to give investors variety of opportunities, because within the continent, we were looking after 900 securities.
900?
900 securities, yes. So within Nabo, we can go through the continent and you think that we live in those countries.
Wow.
Yeah, talk to any of our analysts. They will talk to you.
And you don't have anybody stationed in those countries?
We travel a lot to those countries. We have very good networks in those countries. So, and it's been more than 10 years. So
and it's within Africa?
Within Africa.
Okay.
So our forte is Africa. And what we've discovered also, there are seasons, there's a time that East Africa was doing really badly, and the only place we were investing was Egypt. We were buying at treasury bills at 17%, and the Egyptian pound was strengthening against the dollar.
The dollar.
There's a time we were investing in Tanzania, we made a lot of money in Tanzania. There's a time we were investing in Morocco. So the money began to really move around just like any other foreign investors. But also what was very insightful for me, something that I never really expect to happen, we actually understood Kenya when we started looking at Africa more than when we were just looking at Kenya. Because money, 80% of our daily turnover is foreign. So we could see how trends were moving. Within a day, if people are doing a sellout, it hits Nigeria. Within 2 days, it comes to Kenya. So we are able to exit in good time. So before people here understand what's going on, we've already exited.
Wow.
So we came with that background, and one of the things that I really appreciate our Capital Markets Authority is that they gave us an exemption. Our unit funds, we are the only fund manager with a unit fund that has 90% allowance to invest in the continent, because we have the expertise. So you notice we have dollar-denominated funds.
You do.
And we also have the Kenya shilling funds.
Did you say the only fund in Kenya?
We are the only fund with that exemption, because we demonstrate a track record of investing our own money in those markets and bringing money back safely. Yeah.
Wow.
So we are very passionate about investing with purpose. For me, when customers come to us, I tell them, what do you want to achieve? Because I want to celebrate with you. It's not return. We can't eat 1,000%. We can't eat 50%. We can't eat 100%. I want to take my kids to school, and we come up with a plan. And I see that executed, and I see kids going to school, and I see kids finishing school. Nothing gives us a kick like that one. I want to buy a home. I want to build a home. We say, okay, how much do you have today? This is the plan. Pay yourself this amount of money every month, and we monitor it every month, and 5 years from now we see someone doing a project. Those are the things that really excite us, and that's what investing with purpose is all about.
Starting with your goal in mind.
Starting with aspiration.
Yeah. I like that. Starting with the aspiration.
Yeah.
Hey, I have one big question, and now this thing is buzzing with many things, but let me ask it so that then we don't keep people... Okay, let me just ask. There's one question here, I'm like, okay. What's your view on crypto?
It's a very good question. It's a very good question, and I don't think we have even enough time to answer it. But this is what I'll say.
Okay.
Investment is about direction rather than precision. Given we cannot deny that the world is moving in a digital direction.
Yeah.
I think the blockchain technology is here to stay.
Yeah.
And whether we like it or not, it is just going to keep entrenching itself. I don't know what will come out of it, but it should not be ignored.
Okay.
Investing in crypto, it's something that is very confusing, especially for professionals like you and myself. Because is it a currency or is it an asset? We can have a debate until the cows come home. But for those customers who really feel they need to invest, I normally tell them, just invest 5% of your portfolio.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work out, it will not kill you. If it works out, that 5% could be the biggest thing that you own. That's how I approach it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Love it. My final question. You know, for many years you were in the front row seat, you know, just getting such amazing wisdom from one of the legends in this country, the late Dr. Chris Kirubi.
Yeah.
You know, you served under him. He was the chairman of Centum and just a brilliant mind. And I don't want to let you go before you share at least one thing, you know, a lesson or two that you learned from him, and then we can wrap this up.
Okay. That's a good one. When I think about Dr. Chris Kirubi, the late, I'm reminded of somebody who said, with a bit of a light touch, that God does not come to us in a dress, in a skirt or a trouser. God blesses us through people. And when I think about Dr. Chris Kirubi, I see a giant that God used to bless us, me and very many people, and some of them don't even know. We worked very closely with him. He used to come to my office and just sit there and ask me, Pius, how are you going to make money? And I wonder, how can a billionaire ask me how we're going to make money? And that's the one thing that I want to share with you. One of the biggest lessons I learned about him, he was information hungry.
He was what?
He was an information seeker.
Okay.
He was calling everybody. He just wanted to gather information. Whether he's in, I remember being in his office, and his two iPhones, there were people he was talking to. His landline was also on, and there was also his PA next to him briefing him. And then I was there, and I was asking him, and he was telling me, "Please go on, keep briefing me. I'm listening." And I asked him, "How do you do this?" And he told me, "Pius, I have 24 hours, and I have to do all these things." So he had found a formula of having 5 calls at the same time. And all of those calls were about getting to know more. How is this going? How is that going? That's how I think he managed so many companies. And anybody who wants to be a good investor, you must be curious about information. That's a very huge trait to become a good investor, because it's all about having a sneak preview about the future more than everybody else. So that's one. The other thing that I'm reminded about him is he had a very strong sixth sense. I remember sitting with him in some forums with foreign investors, a table full of foreign investors, and in a foreign country, and he would lean forward and tell me in Kikuyu, you see that guy there? That's the guy who has the money. Just by observing.
Yeah.
Just by observing. If Dr. CK told you, by the way, that person is going to mess you up, you needed to listen. If he told you that deal is going to go bad, you needed to listen.
So what's that?
I don't know. I don't know how to describe it.
It's a gift.
But he had a gift of feeling things in a way that nobody else could. He could ask very simple, fundamental questions to a proposal by an Ivy League guy, presenter, and the whole thing could crumble because he understood the basics, the fundamentals of investment. He had a very strong sixth sense, and I really enjoyed that. The third thing, and this is going to be the last one because there are many things I could share about him, work ethic. Wow. I remember many Christmases, he would call me on 24th and he asked me, where is everybody? And I'm like, it is Christmas.
Yes.
And he said, I'm the only one working and all of you are spending your money.
Oh my goodness.
And he told me what his work is his holiday. So that happens when your work and your mission, they converge. That you no longer, you work effortlessly. You enjoy, you feel your work, you know. I remember going for trips with him. There's one trip I did with him in Dubai. And we would be meeting people until 2 a.m. in the morning.
Wow.
And 7 a.m., he's calling me. And I look at my phone, I'm in my bed. I'm like, he's asking me, Pius, where are you? I'm like, I've just woken up. He laughs, he's like, you find me at the breakfast area after you get, eh? He was full of energy. His work ethic, I kept wondering, how can a billionaire be more hungry than me? That's the thing. So there's something unique. So I learned work ethic. Work ethic, love what you do.
Be curious.
Be curious. Be curious and learn to listen to that sixth sense. It's never wrong most of the time. Yeah.
Hey, imagine we have to bring this to an end. I'm like, oh my God, I could listen to you all night. But we have to do this again, Pius,
Sure.
please. We must. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching, for listening, for following along. Actually, this was an interesting, a lot of the comments were, thank you, on point. I've heard you, sort of comments.
Yeah.
We've all learned so much from you, Pius. Thank you very much for taking the time out to come and to spend this evening with us. I have a challenge for our viewers, and that is just pick one thing that you'll begin to implement tomorrow. Hopefully it's pay yourself first. But let's do one thing. Maybe it's, there was little examples you gave, even about your wife and you making decisions together. There's a lot of lessons even in just that statement. The ability of us to come together as a unit and make decisions about our families. So maybe it's a meeting you need to have with your spouse, whatever it is. Let's choose and pick one thing that we will do that will help us to manage our money better in 2022. I wish you all the best, everybody. We shall have our next live next month, and we shall post the details of what date that will be and the details of what the live will be about. In the meantime, subscribe, hit the notification button because we will have more video content coming out very soon. Take care, everybody, and have a wonderful evening. God bless you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.